Happy Friday, my friends. It's going to be one of those weekends. Kevin Robinson is in the studio with me today to have some discussion, but we're going to have some check-ins from people because there is so much going on in Northeast PA, so many cool things, and this one is sort of mind-blowing. You remember the Cabbage Patch craze?
Absolutely.
That's out there.
I remember seeing the fights on the news.
Oh, yes.
That was crazy. Over dolls.
Over crazy dolls, yes. And now it is hitting the big screen, the whole story. And I think Alan Stout has a little bit more background on this than anybody. Alan, you always manage to get yourself into these sort of huge, bigger pictures. You know what I mean?
It's kind of weird, Dickie. It's like Forrest Gump sometimes, you know? You don't do anything to orchestrate these things. This one kind of fell right on my lap. It's a funny story.
You were just doing your job, right? You wrote, and you were doing your job, 20 years ago or so?
25 years ago. I was at the Cabbage Patch riot 40 years ago as a teenager.
Wow.
At Zayer's, which made the national news. People paid over 1,000 people that morning behaved very poorly.
So that was at the Zayer, and for people who don't know and who might have just moved to the area or are the youngins don't remember Zayer, which I remember that's
like a Kmart type department store. It was right where the Home Depot and the Ray Warren Flanagan is now in Wilkes Barre, right in that same spot.
So there were these fights over these kind of hideous dolls. Cute dolls. Exactly. But I never really wanted one. I don't remember asking for one at all. And since my father...
You're right in that age group.
Yeah.
You would have been there, right? Yeah. You didn't want one?
No, and my parents did not get into any of that Black Friday stuff. But we weren't allowed to have Barbie dolls, for gosh sakes. You think they were going to get into the Cabbage Patch craze? No way.
Well, the thing about it, though, is this predates that Black Friday stuff. That stuff with people hanging out at Best Buy at 4 in the morning to get a big TV and stuff, that really didn't come until the 90s. This was like in 83. So I think that's what kind of made it. They kind of said this may have been the thing that started it all. This was the first time people start camping out at stores.
This is when they decided that they needed to come up with some kind of cool thing to do for Black Friday with releasing of toys and stuff like that. And then it got into the electronics later.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch this documentary, which premiering tonight in Wilkes Barre at Movies 14, it wasn't orchestrated at all. It was a genuine shortage of supply to meet demand. They generally could not keep up. Half the little girls in the country wanted one of these things. I wind up being up there trying to get one for my little sister with my mom. She asked me to go.
Sweet.
And we see this riot. People are taking it. People were injured. There was one woman left in an ambulance, if I recall. The manager of the store is with a baseball bat trying to keep people back, throwing the dolls out over the crowd. And so 15 years later, I'm a features writer at the newspaper, and we're talking about Black Friday, and we're talking about our Thanksgiving coverage. And someone mentioned the Cabbage Patch riot. I go, well, I was there. And they were like, you were at the Cabbage Patch riot? And I go, sure. I'm like, well, you got to write about it. So, because I told them the story. I told them the whole story. And it is, from a teenager's perspective, it was all very, bizarre and humorous. And so then what happened? So that was in 98. So 1983, I'm at Zayer trying to get the doll from my sister. 15 years later, I write a story about it for the paper. We ran it on page 1 of the Times Leader on Black Friday, top of the fold. It was the top story, just a fun look back at this crazy Wilkes Barre incident, which made national news. And then, this is where it gets weird. 2 years ago, I get this Facebook message from these folks that are producing a documentary film about the Cabbage Patch craze of 83. They found my old article online. I asked, are you guys that wrote this? I said, yes. We wound up going back and forth with some emails. They wound up doing a couple of Zoom calls with me, with the producer and the director. They wanted me to tell the story. I guess they wanted to make sure that I was a good storyteller on camera. And I didn't realize I was being auditioned, I guess. I was just telling them the story. And then afterwards they said, we want you to come to New York and we want you to tell the story in the movie. And so they brought me to New York. This was about 2 years ago. right around this time of year, right before Christmas, December of 21. And I told the story, and it's in the movie. And so it debuted at the Tribeca Film Festival. The trailer premiered on the Today Show about 2 months ago, and it's opening nationwide, and they did bring it to Wilkes Barre.
All this work that you've done with music over the years and everything, this is the thing that gets you national attention, Alan.
The thing is, and another thing that was ironic, too, is when they reached out to me 2 years ago about the movie, I was literally right in the middle with our team of working on the Agnes documentary. And so not only was I there, and did I know the story, and could I tell the story, but I also was very sympathetic to filmmakers who were looking for people that could tell a story to help improve their film. And so I was literally working on a documentary myself at the time when we were going out and interviewing people, talking to them about Agnes. So I told the director the one day, I go, I'm actually doing a similar project myself right now. And so, they kind of, I guess they found the right guy, because I was more than happy to help them. And they don't pay you anything for it, but you want to help that story. And the really amazing thing is, I think anyway, that so I wrote that column in '98 totally from memory. I remember the manager with, a baseball bat or something, trying to keep people away, throwing the dolls over the crowd. And I wrote about that in detail. And these guys from the film have the actual footage from Zayer's, which I believe came from WNEP and then was later fed to CNN, that they marry that video up with my story in the movie. So as I'm telling the story, you see it. So I was not exaggerating when I said this is what happened. It really did happen, and you'll see it for yourselves at the movie this weekend.
Man, I hope I can get out to the movies this weekend. The name of the movie is $1 Billion Babies, the true story of the Cabbage Patch Kids. It's going to be at RC Wilkes Barre Movies 14 tonight, tomorrow, and Sunday. You can find the showtimes online, I am sure, because there's many. There's quite a few showtimes for that.
Yeah, they're showing it 3 times today, and 3 times tomorrow, and 3 times Sunday. And tonight at the 7:05, they asked me to come, and we're going to do a little Q&A after the movie. And so if you have a crazy memory of that Christmas time of '83, where you or your child or your grandchild wanted one of these dolls, or you were at Zayer's, come on down, and we're going to have some fun talking about it tonight after the movie.
Or when your kids ask, why did all this Black Friday craziness start? Where did it begin?
There it was.
You'll find your answers in Wilkes-Barre, PA. Who would have ever thought? And Alan, in case people don't remember you, I think they should, because you were probably, I'm going to say this out loud, and I'm going to get in trouble, but the last great features writer known in Northeast PA.
Oh, I wouldn't say that. There's still some great people doing great work, but I did it.
I just don't know them.
I did it for 18 years, and, I enjoyed it very much. Everything that I did as a Times leader led to, what I...
Who you are today.
Talking for a cause and doing events, led to marketing, which led to me coming to the Visitors Bureau, which led where I am now, which, helping do the Rock and the River shows every year. So I think everybody in their life can connect dots.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
That was a big dot for me, for sure. That was a big dot.
Well, and we're going to have to talk about the events happening in the area into the new year with you as well. One last question. Knowing that you're a huge Kiss fan, were you at the show at Madison Square Garden either Friday or Saturday last week?
I'm insulted by the question. Of course I...
I knew I would insult you with that.
He was backstage.
Saturday night for the last...
I knew he would be.
Yeah, I had to be there.
How was it?
In March. It was very, very... I mean, a lot of memories. They would play a song, and I would remember seeing them on that tour. Or they would play a song, and I would remember going to a show with this group of friends. And so, when you have a band that so many of us have loved since we were kids, and they're taking their final bow, to be there, it's where I needed to be.
No.
I had my daughter with me. She wore my old Kiss jean jacket that I used to wear to high school all the time. My daughter's 16 now. She wore my coat.
Wow, cool.
So the coat was there. I was there. My daughter was there. My son got to see them a few times earlier on the tour. So, yeah, it was very special.
Do you remember when they said, they were on stage Saturday night, and they said, "This is our biggest hit worldwide"? What song was it?
That was "I Was Made for Loving You," and that was
my favorite song
for me. My daughter's favorite song too, and that's the part where Paul Stanley flies out over the audience and sings the song from the middle of the arena on this stage. He does two songs.
I just wanted to prove my point. My favorite Kiss song was their biggest selling hit worldwide.
People think it was best. The best chart is a little bit higher in the United States.
Or even Rock and Roll All Night. People would have thought it was Rock and Roll All Night, Alan.
Rock and Roll All Night, of course.
Yeah, but that was it.
Worldwide, I Was Made for Loving You is their biggest hit, and it was really great to see them play it.
So don't you have some avatars to go watch now?
Pardon me?
I said, don't you have to go watch some avatars now or something?
Well, so many bands have found different ways to go on. The Beatles have, the Love thing that they've been doing in Vegas for years, or the Pink Floyd laser light shows, or ABBA has some sort of avatar concert. Elvis Presley, they did a concert with Elvis where a video screen was up with Elvis, but a live band, his whole band was playing. So I think what Kiss is doing is they're taking very 2003 technology and trying to give their fans something to look forward to go see in theaters or arenas after they've retired.
That's what I'm thinking.
It's cool. I'll be there. I look forward to seeing it.
And maybe I'll see you there. Thanks for joining me on the phone today. Catch Alan Stout tonight at RC Movies 14 for this $1 billion babies, the true story of the Cabbage Patch craze happening. That's tonight. He will be there at 7:05, but there are various showings 3 times a day, today, tomorrow, and Sunday, of that movie based on events from here in Northeast PA. Thanks for checking in today, Alan. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me on, Nikki. Appreciate it.
Have a great day. We got to go